A woman found dead next to a dumpster last week in Fort Lauderdale. Police charged a 34-year-old man with murdering her.
Emotional family members speaking out after their loved one was found dead outside an apartment complex in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah. She didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve this.
Like, what could she have done or said to you that you think that you want to kill and shoot my baby execution style like that?
Okay, so, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, February 18th, 2026. Somebody is walking past an apartment complex on a regular Wednesday morning. Sun up, birds doing their little bird things, and they find a woman's body behind a dumpster. Naked. Covered in cardboard boxes like somebody tried to take out the trash and accidentally included a human being. I need you to know one thing first. The man police say is responsible, he told on himself. He told the mother of his child, just casually, like he was sharing what he had for dinner. And that woman, bless her entire soul, picked up the phone. But we are going to get to all of that, because this story has layers, baby. It has a mother's rage. It has DNA. It has a man running from police and throwing a gun into a bush. It has social media losing its entire mind. And at the center of all of it is a 30-year-old woman named Daneshia Heller, who deserved to come home to her 3 little girls that night. She didn't. You're on TikTok Crimes. We cover what happens when social media fame turns fatal. TikTok stars, Instagram couples, Facebook influencers. When their posts become crime scenes, we break down exactly what went wrong. These aren't just viral stories. These are real murders, real victims. Subscribe right now if you want the truth behind the trending hashtags. Because by the time something goes viral, somebody's usually already dead. Here's what happened. Daneshia Heller was 30 years old. She was a Fort Lauderdale girl. Her mother, Tamekia Connor, owns a beauty salon, which tells you everything you need to know about the kind of household Daneshia came from. Her father, David Heller, described her the way only a dad who truly knew his daughter can.
My daughter, she was somebody. She was mine.
Yeah. Take a second with that. She had 3 daughters of her own. And by every account from the people who loved her, Donishia was exactly that. Her aunt, Latoya Snell, said the whole family hadn't slept a full night since they got the news. Not one night. Because grief doesn't exactly come with a snooze button. Now here is where I need you to really lean in, because this was not some random act from a stranger passing through. Altavious Powell was not a mystery man who appeared out of nowhere. According to what investigators uncovered, these two had a relationship, a romantic one, which means somebody Daneshia knew, somebody she may have trusted, maybe even loved. It's the same person police say dragged her through that apartment. Daneshia Heller was not a headline. She was somebody's whole world. And the way this story unfolds from here, the confession, the DNA, the man running through the streets of Fort Lauderdale like cardio was suddenly going to save him, is either going to make you furious, or it's going to make you shake your head so hard it falls off. Altavious Powell, 34 years old, Miami Gardens. And before we even get to February 18th, I need you to understand something about who this man already was before Daneshia's name ever entered a police report. 4-time convicted felon. 4 times. Meaning the justice system had met this man before. Multiple times. Shook hands with him, processed him, released him. 4 times. And on the morning her body was found, he was walking around less than a mile from the scene, carrying a gun he was not legally allowed to have. Now, what detectives would later piece together is that the night of February 18th, did not end the way any night should ever end. Police say Powell and Daneshia were inside a vacant apartment in that area. What happened inside those walls? The argument, the escalation, the moment things crossed a line they could never come back from, is still part of an active investigation. Daneshia was shot in the head. Those are her own mother's words, execution style. And then, according to investigators, he moved her, dragged her out of that apartment and into the dark, and covered her with cardboard boxes next to a dumpster, like she was something to be thrown away. Now, here is where this story takes a turn that honestly could be its own episode. The morning after her body was found, before Fort Lauderdale police had even publicly named a suspect, a phone rang at the department, anonymous caller. And what they said was essentially, somebody just confessed to a homicide. The person they named was armed and dangerous. That somebody was Altavious Powell. He had told the mother of his child. Detectives also pulled surveillance footage from a business on Northwest 6th Street. And there he was, on camera, in the area, right after. The pieces were already assembling themselves. Let's go back to February 18th, because the details of how Daneshia was found matter. It was just before 7:30 in the morning when someone discovered her body behind the Olden Apartments on Northwest 15th Avenue, right next to North Fork Elementary School. The man who found her told Local 10 off camera that the body appeared battered. Police arrived, set up a blue forensic tent, secured the area with more than 20 patrol vehicles. A helicopter circled overhead. Neighbors gathered behind the yellow tape, trying to understand what had happened in their own backyard. Detectives classified it immediately. Suspicious death, likely homicide. What they did not yet know was that the man responsible was still in the neighborhood, still breathing Fort Lauderdale air, still within walking distance of what he had done. The audacity of that alone deserves its own moment of silence.
Like, what could she have done or said to you that you think that you want to kill and shoot my baby execution style like that?
By that same Thursday morning, the department's gun intelligence unit spotted Powell getting into a car parked outside the Dixie Court Apartments, less than a mile from the crime scene. They approached him, and he ran. Now, running from the police when you are a 4-time convicted felon carrying an illegal firearm is a choice. And as he ran, he threw the gun into a nearby bush. He was caught, initially booked on charges that had nothing to do with Daneshia. Possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, carrying a concealed firearm, resisting an officer, and, this one is Rish, giving false identification to law enforcement. But here is the thing about detectives who are good at their jobs. They kept going. While Powell sat in that cell on those charges, they cross-referenced the tip. They dug into the timeline. They collected DNA from the crime scene. And that DNA came back to Altavious Powell.
Their concerns, I'll start off by saying we do not have a serial killer that we're looking at in the city of Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, and about that statement. Because while the Heller family was barely sleeping, barely eating, barely holding each other together, the internet decided it knew better. Posts started circulating claiming there was a serial killer loose in Broward County. People were sharing vehicle descriptions of completely innocent people. Families from other states were calling their relatives in Fort Lauderdale in full panic. Sergeant Geiger had to stand at a podium and say out loud that Fort Lauderdale did not have a serial killer situation, while a grieving family sat a few miles away, waiting for justice for one woman whose name half those social media posts didn't even spell correctly. The internet stayed on brand, and not in a good way. So, let's talk about what happened after Powell was caught. Because the legal side of this story has a twist that honestly nobody saw coming. Altavious Powell was charged with first-degree premeditated murder with a firearm, held without bond, meaning he is sitting in Broward, Maine jail right now with nowhere to go and a whole lot of time to think about the bush he threw that gun into. But here is the legal wrinkle that made even the lawyers do a double take. The public defender assigned to represent Powell filed a motion to withdraw from the case. And the reason? Their office had previously represented Daneshia Heller herself. Read that back slowly. The same public defender's office that once stood in a courtroom for Donishia was now being asked to stand in a courtroom for the man accused of killing her. A hearing on that motion was scheduled for February 25th, 2026. As of now, no trial date has been set. The investigation remains active. Detectives are still working through cell phone data, text records, and forensic evidence to nail down the full timeline and confirm the motive. The case against Powell is being built carefully, and given that DNA already puts him at the scene, the walls are closing in from every direction.
Police say a man is now in custody after a woman's body was discovered in Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale police say Altavious Powell is being charged with premeditated murder in this case. At this time, it's unclear what his relationship was with the victim, Daneshia Heller.
And while the courts do their slow, grinding work, Donishia's family is doing something much harder. They are raising 3 little girls without their mother, planning a funeral, setting up a GoFundMe, and trying to make sense of something that will never fully make sense. I want to leave you with the words of Donishia's father, David Heller.
My daughter, she was somebody. She was mine. Understand me, man? And he left her like she was nothing. And I can't stomach it. Okay? I can't stomach it. I just want the world to know who my daughter, Daneshia Heller, was. She's a strong, good heart, loving, kind person that was just trying to make her way through life.
Because he said something at that press conference that I cannot stop thinking about. A father said that. A man who raised his daughter, watched her grow up, watched her become a mother herself, stood in front of a camera and used what little composure he had left to say that. Every single word. Daneshia Heller was 30 years old. She had 3 daughters who needed her. She fought for her life in that apartment. The family confirmed that. She did not go quietly. And I need you to hold that, because it matters. It says everything about who she was, even in her final moments. And what happened after, being left behind a dumpster covered in cardboard like something disposable. That was not just a crime. It was a statement. And the man police say made that statement is now sitting in a cell, charged with first-degree murder, waiting on a trial that his own DNA has already started building the case for. Here is what this story keeps bringing me back to, though. And I genuinely want you to sit with this one. The person who ultimately set this whole investigation in motion was not a detective. It was not forensics. It was not a surveillance camera. It was a woman, the mother of Powell's own child, who heard what he allegedly said and decided that information was not hers to keep. She picked up the phone, and because she did, Altavious Powell was off the streets within 24 hours. Sometimes justice does not come from the system. Sometimes it comes from one person in one moment, deciding that enough is enough. Daneshia's family set up a GoFundMe for funeral costs and to support her 3 daughters. The link is in the description. If this story moved you, and I think it did, that is one way to make sure her girls are not forgotten. We will keep following this case. The moment there is a trial date, a verdict, any update at all, we will be here. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you think about the woman who made that call. Was she brave? Was she doing the bare minimum? Was she both? Because I have thoughts, and I have a feeling so do you.